Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm going to get straight into sharing here. So, I just wanted to have a look at some good videos that I've been looking at there. So this one is by Jason Clark. Basically, he's a pastor, and yeah, his whole message is basically about you know not having a skill saw ministry. Okay, so let's Jesus, God is not a God of the skill saw. So let's just have a look on this. See where you can take it.
That was my inner voice.
And my favorite bit is the bit where he talks about he's actually talking about the story of Abraham bringing Isaac up the mountain. It's the first time I've ever heard this actually interpreted. Really, it's the idea basically is that bringing Isaac up the mountain was God showing Abraham that child sacrifice wasn't okay with God, because apparently in Abraham's time, child sacrifice was extremely popular and was considered part of worship. So, so, so God actually bringing Abraham up the mountain with his son Isaac was actually God demonstrating to Abraham and making this story public now as well through the Bible throughout the whole world that God isn't okay with child sacrifice. God isn't a God of child sacrifice. Let me find it here.
So day in, day out, he believed the promise that God gave him, and that God gave him the promise. You know the story. It's an epic story. But I want to tell you that as the days went by after the promise was given to him, I don't think the man was free yet, because the man still had this idea, this lingering idea in his dictionary definition, and no fault of his own, that to actually worship fully was to require that you would be willing to murder your own child.
Yes, he's referring now to the fact that child sacrifice, which is actually still present, still valid in some villages at the moment.
The day comes. Here's the story. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is Old Testament. Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, go to the region of Moriah, sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain. And then the next verse is Abram goes, what? Next verse, Abram says, yeah, ready. Because his paradigm.
So there's another bit later on where Jason Clark mentions that his father basically had cut his thumb, and he said that his father he asked his father as a child, why do you think God allowed such a thing to happen? And his response was, well, maybe God is trying to catch my attention. And so basically he's maintaining that God is not a God. God does not have a skill saw ministry where, he said, his father has been Jason says that his father has been wonderfully supportive of him, and that he's done a lot of good things and helped him in a lot of things and encouraged him in a lot of things. That at no point has his father turned around and nicked him with a skill saw just to teach him. And he said that he totally disagrees with this concept of skill saw, God being a God of this, skill saw ministry, that God is a punishing God, and I believe this is really powerful. But yeah, I want to skip on to a couple of other YouTube videos that I've had a look at that have been really good. Okay, so just bear with me for a second. Yeah, so this is another video. This is Catherine Kumar healing service on YouTube. So it's 1 hour 41 minutes, and it's basically amazing. I spent a lot of the last night watching it. She's got a lot of different people here. I'm just looking to see if I can find the guy who's this is the guy. Okay, so we just fold it into this.
You said it started yesterday, the healing, and finished today.
The healing started yesterday. The power of God will continue on this land. Look at this. That's just power.
He's out.
I know. And look at those legs straightening. Look at those legs straightening. Emphysema, and the healing started yesterday.
Yes.
Right?
I'm just going back to.
Now.
I'm just going back to the so there's a guy here who's got cerebral palsy, basically, who it looks like Catherine Kumar doesn't really understand what cerebral palsy is. That's fair enough. Doesn't need to. But cerebral palsy is basically it's brain damage due to usually difficulties at birth, and basically the resulting thing is that people who have cerebral palsy have problems with mobility. Sometimes cognition, but basically usually mobility. And this guy has never been able to walk fully on his feet. He's always able to walk on his toes. And after this healing that he has, he's now able to walk fully on his feet.
Look at that smile on his face. He walked on his toes.
You mean now it's part of the data?
This video is absolutely packed full of testimonies of people who basically had healings. Just that night, it's a really amazing video. I highly recommend having a look at it. And then I'm just going to go on and show another couple of videos. Okay, so this this video is called "Take These Broken Wings: Healing from Schizophrenia Cure Without Medication." It's still on about 1 hour 15 minutes long, and basically it's just by Daniel Mackler. Daniel Mackler is a counselor who basically he's gone into the film industry, and he's also a book writer. But basically, this video is two different people. So this lady here, yeah. So this lady here, her name is Kathy. So basically, this lady Kathy here, her story is she was catatonic schizophrenic. So far as that she's completely, face down, drooling, kind of almost out of communication completely, and she was taken on board by a psychiatrist. I think he was a newly qualified psychiatrist, and yeah, he spent 8 years on 1,300, I think, hours of counseling sessions with her, therapy sessions with her, without medication, basically managed to get her functioning out of the state that she's in. And she's now a qualified registered nurse. She's also a registered psychiatrist. So what they're basically contrasting is they're kind of contrasting her story with popular opinion about schizophrenia. So they're interviewing people in the public and they're contrasting her reality, which she was experiencing as a sufferer of schizophrenia, to the kind of public perception of schizophrenia. This is really important, because I think when, I mean, I've qualified in medicine and done psychiatry, and I mean, the only sort of real teaching that there is in psychiatry is that biomedical model of schizophrenia. We're never really taught that people who have schizophrenia have had horrific lives, that would account for their behaviors, for their unusual presentations, for their symptoms. So I think this is really the first kind of serious video that I've had a look at, and just because I'm doing an essay on schizophrenia. And just thank God I found this. I really do believe it is for the grace of God that I found this great video. So these are this guy is actually a psychologist, from Tehran. He's now passed away. Basically, he's a doctor of psychology, and he has treated, sounds like he's treated a lot of people with schizophrenia, but basically he's written books on it, psychotherapy of schizophrenia, and he's written other books as well. Basically, what he's saying is that your first assumption should be when you're thinking someone is schizophrenia that they've had an incredibly crap life, so that's where you should be working from, not from the perspective of that, okay, here's schizophrenia, and their past experiences are relevant. I think what I did in the psychiatry teaching, but also in counting that slightly in my counseling teaching as well. Yeah, so it looks like Kathy was a 20-year-old when she came. This is hugely significant. I think that last statement is massively significant, because when you have these aha moments, and I've had some of these in counseling as well, it's like, wow, like, no wonder this person has ended up in this situation. This is the psychiatrist actually that, yeah, not only psychiatrist, but I think he was psychiatrist. He's definitely German. She was Daniel Durman. Yeah, he's a doctor. Yeah, so he was her psychiatrist, and basically when he was a junior psychiatrist, he took her on, and he treated her for 8 years. massive, so there you go. That's just like, there's a huge trauma in itself, it's one of the ACE factors, so death of a parent is a second ACE factor as well. So this is the adverse childhood events score. And she's got a mother with depression as well. So she's got a father with alcoholism, a stepfather with alcoholism, who's a child, he's a minder, he's got alcoholism, there's a mother with depression, and she's got a dead biological parent. So basically she's got 3 ACE factors before we even start. Physically violent as well. So she witnessed her mother being physically abused. So that's 4 ACE factors out of 10. And that's before she's even 6 years old. And this is never a phrase that I've heard before in my medical training in Ireland. And I've never heard, yeah, it's just not something that people talk about. And then yes, thank God I did the emotional journey training with Brandon Bays, and for some reason I'm always trauma informed. I've always been trauma informed. I think ever since I read Sigmund Freud was a regular medical doctor who trained in neurology, but then trained with Charcot, and basically learned that childhood experiences have this devastation. He always worked through a trauma informed lab, which is something people don't assume. So this lady, Joanne, this lady is another, she's the second schizophrenic in this program. And basically in this hour and 15 minutes long video, so she's another lady basically who suffered from schizophrenia and was completely rehabilitated to not having any symptoms of schizophrenia. Very significant, getting hit for it, right? So you've got child abuse there.
He said things like tears.
never ever heard anybody really explain psychosis in those terms, maybe except maybe Sigmund Freud. You know, all that I've ever heard psychosis ever described in all my medical training has ever been just, you know, unexplained biological, never been coping, never been sort of talked about as coping mechanism.
And it was scary. You know, that I want suicidal, like,
Anyway, okay, there. Right, so this movie here is called Miracle in the Woods. Christian movie. A little bit later.
But why? Who's that?
it's just
Well, one on your own guy. Got a family to feed.
So this is a beautiful story. I just happened upon it. It's on YouTube. It's a free movie. Yeah, it's a story about a woman who was living in the woods, in a bit of abandoned land, and yeah, this family that is wobbling thing it's going to come upon her in the middle of the film. Worth watching the film to find out how it's just a great story behind it. Yeah. Totally enjoyed it. Really recommend having a look at this movie. Right, so this next story is on a YouTube channel called Prioritize Your Life. So it's about an atheist addict who sees eternity and see how instantly this man was a drug addict. He basically was totally struggling and just had an encounter, total encounter with God on the middle of a piece of sidewalk. Let's see where he was here.
Hi there. My name is Michael Croft.
Yes,
Yes, that guy you might have names.
this guy. Actually, I know another guy who was suffering with alcoholism, and basically he just turned around to God. One day, he's a friend of mine, he lives across the road, and he just said to me, you know, he just said, "Look, Lord, unless you take this alcohol off me, I'm gonna be throwing the towel completely." Um, and he said at that very moment, which was lunchtime, in the middle of a working day or whatever, he said God just lifted the alcoholism off him, and he's never touched a drop since. That's the road we're at. and really, really, really listen to what happens next. Because I mean, this is just a guy who's living in shit. His life is crap, and he's at the end of his tether, right? He just reaches out to God and says, "I don't know what to do. And just listen now, because this is really significant." Yeah. So another one I'm going to look at. Yeah. So I'm just going to look through a couple of videos that I watched. That were on Shine TV. So one of them was this one, Forgiven here. That was a brilliant movie. Yeah, that's on Shine. And then we had Patton Kumar. Okay. This is another lady who had this experience of being meeting Jesus in heaven. Another story of pretty much terrible abuse. That's my drug dealer friend. This is a lady who had a near-death experience. It changed everything. She had allergies, I think, and she ended up getting some drugs that put her into a coma, and she went up to heaven and met Jesus. Another lady who had an experience of nearly dying, and this is all on YouTube. Experience of the afterlife, amazing experience we got. Yep, this was a Holocaust survivor who meets a former Nazi leader, youth leader. So this was the youth leader, and the other lady was a survivor. This was the story of John Nash. So I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Beautiful Mind. Yeah, well, this is a bit more of the story of John Nash, sort of a documentary style story about this guy who was a schizophrenic who actually, again, another schizophrenic who got better. Pretty much, and he ended up winning a Nobel Peace Prize. Very much. Shine television. And then redemption of the heart. Yeah. Before check. Guy born with no arms, no legs. Inspiring Christian. This is my friend Andrew Hopper from the Grace Foundation. He's a little bit of a company.
Amen.
So Andrew has a massive history of being in gang. Well, not so much in gangs, but I think he was a bouncer and part of the martial arts scene in Auckland here, and now he's a pastor in a particular Seventh-day Adventist church. And yeah, it's great. He's a community pastor, so it goes to the Grace Foundation, men, women, and preaches the word of God. And he also has the Solid, which is his where he ministers to the young people and gives them some free boxing lessons and free basketball lessons, also a little bit of Bible teaching into the mix.
Amen.
Sometimes when you do the crime, you pay the time. I remember, going to court, whatever crime you did, they will give you a certain time.
Yeah.
5 years, 10 years, But look, I'm here to talk about somebody who did the time for you, baby.
Amen.
He took your place. For those who found guilty, he still did the time.
Yeah. This is the cross. Amen.
2,000 years ago, it was 2,000 years ago. That's the worst part. Yeah, the very worst part. So back in 2,000 years.
That's Andrew Huflick. So his website is solid.co.nz, I think it is. Yeah, so Andrew's different testimonies are basically on the Papatoetoe 7-day Adventist Church website, Solid Community. So they have boxing on Monday nights, 6 p.m. and kickboxing Wednesday nights, Manriva, basketball Thursday nights at Bendon Recovery Centre at 6 o'clock. Yeah, that's Andrew, and that's the state. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. So yeah, so the main things that I just wanted to go through. Yeah, so the main things that I wanted to go through today is like schizophrenia healing. That it's possible to heal schizophrenia. You just need to get the right team of people around you. So all those people that are stuck on medications out there can most likely be healed. They just get in touch with the right sources. Second thing is that there's amazing Christian movies out there. You just need to get your hands on them. I don't like this ball play. But if I can. So so the thing is, you've got this amazing Christian movies. You've got these great testimonies of near-death experiences. And on top of that, we've got some great preaching as well. And I think that the major thing that I learned from the preaching from today is that yeah, God is not a he's not a skill saw father. He's not the type of father that's going to take a skill saw to your finger to get your attention. You know, and, I think Jason Clark's catchphrase is I don't know, but he's good. I don't know, but he's good. So I might know what's going on at the moment, but God is a good God, and I can trust in him in that regard. And that's yeah, I've also been reading, I think, an article as well called Reasonable Hope by Weingarten is the name of the article. And it's the idea of replacing hope with reasonable hope. So sometimes hope can seem quite elusive, but if you put reasonable hope in place of hope, it gives you something that you can kind of move with. It's a little bit more wiggle room in terms of going forward. So replacing hope with reasonable hope is in a better position to all right, so we're just going to end the video here now and see how that goes.